So again, welcome everyone. Happy Irish Whiskey Day. I'm just going to kick things off, um, and then I'll go over the agenda for today. But hopefully everyone's poured a whiskey by now. So sláinte.
Sláinte.
So let me just take a minute or two to kind of lay out a loose agenda. It's pretty informal as always, but I plan on going over a couple things. One, for those who aren't familiar, just what is Irish Whiskey Day? So we'll start there. I then want to talk about a few things going on with the club. One, an upcoming bottle collaboration, and then some upcoming events in our Galway trip. We can talk a little bit about, and then throughout the whole time, this is Irish Whiskey Day, so we want to certainly make sure we're not just talking about other stuff. We want to talk about Irish whiskeys. So we'll kind of break all that up as we're going and maybe kind of do a round the horn of, what we're drinking. So I'll just kick this off. Um, this is Irish Whiskey Day. And for those who aren't familiar, um, this started back in 2016. So it hasn't been going on that. And the person who really was the brainchild behind this is Stuart, who some of you may know. He's been involved in the industry for a while. He's now, I guess, most prominently involved with the Port McGee whiskey brand. So, in honor of his baby, so to speak, I'm drinking the Port McGee 9-year-old Barbados rum finish. So that's what I'm kicking things off with, and that's kind of in honor of Stuart and creating this day back in 2016. So it's still hasn't even hit its 10-year anniversary mark. But the whole point of the day really is just a play on the number three and its importance to both whiskey and Ireland. And today, again, it's March 3rd, so 3-3. And the number three just plays a big role in a lot of things related to Irish whiskey and Ireland. So you've got the three styles: single grain, single malt, single pot still. Blend is not really a style. It's usually it's one, two, or three of these combined. 3 years of maturation to be Irish whiskey. That's fairly standard. Distillations, again, not a requirement, but that's what up until recently, majority of Irish whiskey was triple distilled, and it's still probably more prominent than other countries' whiskey. And then non-whiskey related stuff play on the shamrock and the Irish flag. So I think really it's just for those of you, we just kind of went through Valentine's Day in February, and that's often accused as being a Hallmark created holiday, kind of one of those. So you could argue that this is just one similar kind of thing. It was just a kind of a holiday created so we could have a day to celebrate Irish whiskey, because there wasn't one that there's World Whiskey Day in May, but this one is exclusive to Irish whiskey. And some people might say, well, why not just do it on St. Patrick's Day? But that's really to celebrate all things Irish. So this is really just the day to focus exclusively on Irish whiskey. So that's it. Um, See, it doesn't take much. You can invent your own holiday if you like. Oh, thanks for joining us. I know some of you participated last year in our toast that we did as well.
Frank.
Frank, how are you from Florida, right? You down?
I
You still down in Florida?
no, got back just yesterday, 2 days ago, I should say. Well, it
Oh,
was actually 1 to 2 days. It was 2 o'clock in the morning when by the time the flight got us home.
all right. Well, welcome back. Um, we're just kind of kicking back a little bit. We're talking a little bit about what uh, Irish Whiskey Day is all about. Why don't we? Maybe I'll stop talking for a minute. Maybe some others can, if you want to share what you're drinking to start off. Matt, what do you got going?
Starting off, I got a few laid out here, but I'm going to start off with the Method of Madness single grain. Well, there it is.
Ah, nice.
What I'm trying to do is use this little get together as a way to try to finish some bottles.
Shelf space.
Funny you say that because I was doing that last night myself. I was like, okay,
It's been a while, so I got quite a few here that I need to try to finish and make some more room. So that's what I'm starting off with.
It was going to be one of my questions. I was going to say, who's trying to use this as a bottle kill exercise? Because I need to clear some shelf space. So I started off that way, and then I ended up kind of picking some others that aren't even close, but it was more theme related. So that's why, like I said, I started with the Port McGee for the day. But we'll see how it goes. But that's a good one. I'm actually viewing that right now, putting that together for the newsletter for March. I like that single grain.
I do too. It's one of my favorite single grains from an Irish whiskey.
Yeah. Welcome, Mason.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we were just kind of going over what Irish Whiskey Day is, how it came to be, starting in 2016, and just also talking with some people about what they're drinking. Joe Barron, what are you drinking?
Teeling single cask, chestnut cask.
Yeah, all right.
I looked at one was closer, and it's not going to be a bottle kill. I trust you that. I have taxes and I got to work tonight. But I'll enjoy what I've poured.
Did anybody go the other way and open up a brand new bottle for this?
Almost.
You're always
opening
up a new bottle.
That's true, but this one came in on Friday. It's the Waterford Cuvée Fumo, only available in the U.S. So it's the cuvée of their 4 peated whiskeys. Found a place in Rhode Island that ships to North Carolina, and they got it here just.
Which cuvée is it?
Fumo. It's a new release. It's only available in the States.
Oh.
Which was that? Joyles, by any chance?
Town Wine was the name of them, and I think I saw them before, and I didn't think they shipped to me, but they do, and they got it here. Like I ordered it on Monday or Tuesday, and it was here on Friday. It was almost as if I was buying from James Fox. So
nice.
It's nice. Very nice.
What are they getting for shipping?
I added a bottle of the Gale, and it was $17.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah,
that's respectable.
Huh.
Yep. If you like the Waterford peated, this is worth getting. It's probably better than any of the single bottles by themselves.
Oh, so it's a peat. It's sorry, I guess I missed that. It's a cuvée of the peated.
Yeah, of the 4 peated.
Yeah, I was kind of mixed with the first 2 peated. I haven't tried the third and fourth ones yet.
I don't like it more than the Luna, though. That's still probably my favorite Waterford.
I didn't realize that was this way because I haven't seen that in Massachusetts yet. So
Yeah, well, they announced it like I think it was October, as though
yeah.
they were going to have 4 releases for the states, and I keep looking, I couldn't find them anywhere. This is the only place I've seen that has it.
Mhm. Interesting. 'Cause
Well,
I don't envision. I don't. It doesn't come to the top of the list of states that you'd get your distribution
Right.
into, right?
Yeah.
Smallest
Yep.
state and everything. So I'm surprised it's there. But
what was it for the bottle?
It was either 80 or 100, one of the
Okay.
two.
Yeah, 'cause most of the ones I bought local Waterfords have been about maybe 90 to 95.
Yeah, right in there.
That's about the average for Waterford here.
Yeah.
Frank, what do you have in your glass?
I'm going to work my way up in the Pogue line, 12, 14, and 16. My
Nice.
ultimatum.
All right. Very good. So, any questions on what Irish Whiskey Day is, or comments, or I think just kind of a fun day. Again, I like to think of it in a way, kind of like the way they created the Valentine's Day holiday, except you don't have to buy cards; you can just buy whiskey.
Wait, there's no merchandise for cards in the store? Well, that's disappointing.
Well, the other thing too is it's unlike Valentine's Day when you go to buy something and the price is 3 or 4 times higher. They're not familiar with this holiday yet, so when you go to buy a bottle of Irish whiskey, it's not gonna rip you off.
Any more than usual, depending on where you're at, anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Well, a lot of them are pushing stuff a couple weeks ahead of St. Patrick's Day too. So it's a good way to just make you have what, dry January, bottle kill February, and March will just make Irish whiskey month.
Might as well.
It's not
They have-
already.
Yeah, unofficially, right?
Do you guys have any total wines in your states or in your areas that you go to?
Yep.
I do, yeah.
Have you seen anything from the Irishman in your total wines? They're selling the Founders Reserve, now the Harvest, for an astronomical price. And I was wondering if it's just my area or if they're trying to get everyone for it. I'm seeing the Founders
Last year I
Reserve.
seen it at Costco for about $15 for the
Yeah,
Irish.
Yeah. Total wine in my area, in the Dallas area, selling it for 124 for a 750 ml bottle.
That's
Of
fine.
the
They
harvest.
did a clearance before they rebranded it.
Yeah, it's the
They
Founders
they
Reserve
would pick
before they
bottles up
rebranded
for
it.
$20. But that's ridiculous for
100%.
Yeah, it's funny. I was just in a store Friday night and I saw both of those, the Founders and the Harvest, next to each other, and they were in the 35 to 45 range.
It's about where it belongs.
Yeah, so I don't know if that was a miscue on up there where they like priced it at the 17-year level or something, but yeah, that's the opposite. Usually it's the other way around. They do it the wrong way. They do one of the higher end stuff real cheap and you grab as many as you can.
Yeah, I did that. I've done that with High and Wicked. The damn it, I can't remember what expression it was, but it was normally like 119 and I got it for $79.99.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna make a Costco run yesterday. I didn't feel like driving in the rain though down to San Diego.
Joe O'Dowd, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking the Slain batch strength we picked up
Oh,
on
nice.
the tour last year.
Careful.
And actually I like that better than the regular stuff. Thank God that little gal in the gift shop said, "Oh, you got to try this. It's good stuff. I like it."
All right, you're starting off strong, so I like your style.
Well, you guys will, you talking about all the stuff you can find here in Columbia. The number of Irish whiskeys available in the liquor stores has doubled. We used to just be able to get Jameson. Now we can get Jameson and Tullamore Dew. So my
at least you
13
don't have proper
bottles of
well.
Irish whiskey have all been hand carried here from either Ireland or the US. So I can guarantee you, if you come for a visit, I have the best selection of Irish whiskey in Columbia.
Yeah. Well, that thing comes in at over 60%. So when you were coming through customs on your way home with that, they must have been patting you down and questioning you.
Oh, they're looking for other things.
I hear 70% is the cutoff where they start asking uncomfortable questions.
Yeah. All right. But no, I opened that at around the holidays, and we did it in an in-home tasting, and I liked that too. That was but all right, who hasn't volunteered? Jim, what are you drinking today? Oh, you're muted, Jim.
Jameson, 18-year-old.
Nice. That's a good one. Heck yeah.
Is that the newer one or the one from years ago?
No, it's a newer one.
Newer one. Okay.
Yeah.
Ian, how about you?
Well, as I had signed up twice, I have two drinks in front of me. Probably being subconsciously impacted or affected by Hank, I've actually got the first two Waterford peated. So I have Ballybannon and Venice
Nice.
Court in my hands. The other ones are somewhere behind me, so I could make my own cuvee, but
Yeah, I was gonna say if you just put them together, you can catch up. All right.
I had planned on opening something new, but I realized I have too many open bottles. But neither of these will be bottle kills because I have to work in the next week, and there's too much left in each one to finish off safely.
Yep.
Mhm.
Problems, right? Mason, how about you?
I've got some copper pot, writer's juice copper pot in my glass, and I've got some yellow spot that I think I'll be breaking into next.
Yes. All right.
Heck yeah.
Jimmy, how about you?
Well, not to be outdone, Waterford.
Wow.
Waterford's making a big stand today. With the this is the Rathclaw though, the single malt, and it is delightful. And I'll break into. I will be opening the Bill Phil.
All right. Well,
Nice.
we'll go around again as we go. But so that's interesting because we should have done like a little FanDuel betting thing where we. I don't think anybody would have.
I would not have expected
The
that.
odds for 3 Waterfords, I don't think would have been. That was
Four.
I have two.
He
that's
doubled
for
up.
4.
He doubled
Wait,
up.
does anybody else have any Waterford that they're drinking before we wrap this up?
I think I got everybody. Did I miss anybody? I did. I apologize.
I think everybody.
I'm not sure. I'm.
Pete, maybe?
Yeah, it's now. I'm not. We had 11, and now I'm not seeing everybody. So I don't. That's why. See if I can get a review, but yeah. So all right. Well, we can come back to questions are on the origin of the day if we want. Let's we'll switch topics a little bit.
Ooh, nice.
And talk about this is a little bit of a tease.
Heck yeah.
So just don't hold me to these exact things because a couple things have already changed. So working on our next bottle release, and it's going to be with Jack Ryan. So a bunch of you I know participated in the Jack Ryan event we did in October. So working with Wayne Curran, who participated, and hosted that with us. So the plan is to do something that they haven't done before. And actually, this would be the first time it would be done in an Irish whiskey. So let me talk a little bit about the idea behind it, and then we can talk about the liquid. The thought was to kind of pay homage to the origins of the IWSA. So we started in 2010 in Boston in a pub, as some of you may know. So what I was thinking was we would call the whiskey next parish over, which some of you may be familiar as a reference to Boston, particularly if you're in Dingle. Boston's just referred to as the next parish over. So this is a skyline view mock-up of Boston waterfront. So that's the idea, that the label design would be the Boston waterfront. Name would be next parish over.
We're not using Boston water in it, are we?
Well, we wanted it to have a little bit of a rough edge to it.
Muddy water.
So part of it, again, this is a little bit of a rough design draft, but you can, for some of you may be familiar, the kind of the colors of Boston, but that kind of really became more well known during the Boston Marathon bombing, are these blue and yellow. So that's the idea behind that we'd use the colors of Boston strong. And so that's kind of the tie-in marketing. The back of the label would kind of have some explanation about all of this, the color, the origin of the Irish Whiskey Society America, that kind of thing. So that's that. And the whiskey itself is actually going to be a 6-year, not a 5-year. So when we were first talking, that's what he thought it was, but it was actually laid down in December. So it's actually going to be probably 6.5 years by the time it gets bottled. But it'll have a 6-year designation. Probably going to do 46, at least 46. Want to make it accessible to everybody, so it won't be cask strength. And what it's going to be is, it's, if I'm understanding this right, it's I want to say a 50-50 split. So everything will be obviously the same age, but half of it will be of single malt matured in bourbon casks. The other half will have been matured in Oloroso sherry and then finished in a Grenache wine, which has not been done before in an Irish whiskey. And then those will be, married together. So we kind of were doing the blending about a week ago. Wayne really likes it, was happy with how it came out. So that's the plan right now. And
it won't be finished after that. It'll just be those two blends.
It'll be the two single malts, but it'll, so bourbon sherry, which most people are used to, but the Grenache is going to give it a much richer, darker fruit finish for those that are familiar with that wine. So it should be pretty interesting because, again, it hasn't been done. Has anybody had that style of wine on its own and or in a whiskey? Of maybe wouldn't be an Irish whiskey, it would be a different.
I'm a wine connoisseur only by the barrels that have influenced my whiskey.
Yeah.
So yeah, I haven't tried it yet.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the wine on its own, but part of the idea is, it's not like we're banging out bottles, on a quarterly basis. So when we do them, we want there to be something unique about them. So
what year will this be available?
This should be available by June-ish, I'm hoping.
Oh, so this year?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, because when's the Misil one going to be, Mickle one going to be done?
Well, that's a cask. So that'll be,
okay.
That'll be, I think, 26-ish time frame. So this is just a bottle collab, not a cask. Yeah, so we have the Mickle cask. We have the Powers Court cask. Those will be bottlings once those are able to be done, but there's a time restriction on those. So in between, I try to do these bottle collabs. So this will be a limited edition run that we're going to do with Jack Ryan, and hopefully everything goes well. So I think we're working out some of the details still, but looks like we're going to be able to do it through Irish Malts, and probably be able to set up an exclusive password type login code so members can get access to it. What else can I tell you? So yeah, the timing's a little bit still up in the air, but the whiskey's there. We've got to deal with the labels, but normally the labels don't take that long, and it's only March now. So there's a outside chance it could be ready in May around the time of Whiskey Live. That some of you might be in Dublin, but I'm not going to hold my breath for that. And I'm not necessarily rushing it either. I think the idea too will be once it's available, people can buy it. We'll allow, let's say a few weeks or a month time to elapse, and then we'll schedule another event with Wayne. So those who have, well, I probably won't even limit it to people who bought it, but we'll do an event with Wayne, and so those who have a bottle, we can drink it, and he can walk us through the whiskey and talk about it, that kind of thing. Kind of like what we did for our first bottle collab a couple of years ago. So that's the plan on that. I don't know, any questions, comments?
You got a price change?
I'm sorry?
Cost?
Oh, yeah. Good question. So, yeah, that's what I'm still working on, but it looks like we're waiting on Irish malts. It should be about €65. And then the shipping costs. So it'd be less expensive than the first collab we did, but the shipping element is going to ultimately make it be about the same, probably.
And do you know if they'll be setting it up that we can buy that with other bottles from Irish malts?
Yeah, those are little finer points that I've raised that I ultimately got to work out, because I think too, one of the things was, well, if we have to do a code or something for the bottle, can we still use the club discount code? Particularly if you're combining it with other stuff. So, this was we broached a lot of this stuff. I made a lot of progress actually in the last week, because I told Wayne that we were doing this event, and I wanted to be able to tease people with some of the info. So that's what we've kind of come up with so far, but nothing is finalized. I think the thing that's probably the most final at this point is probably the whiskey. Still got to work out the label, some of the costs, and some of
What
the.
was the blend again? 50% bourbon, and then the other 50% was split between the Oloroso and the Grenache.
Yeah, well, it's again, it's single malts that are married together. So half of it, I guess, is been exclusively in bourbon casks. The other half was in Oloroso sherry and then finished in the Grenache.
Oh, okay, okay, so the Oloroso sherry is finished in the Grenache. Okay.
And then they're married together. That's my understanding of how he was explaining it.
You know the time frame that it was finished in the Grenache? Did you say that already? If so, I apologize.
Well, yeah, I think it's being finished right now. So like if it was bottled today, it would have a certain amount of time. If it, but in theory, I don't think he was necessarily looking to bottle it right away. He kind of likes what it's doing. So if it takes another couple months, he'll probably just leave it in there. But I gotta, I'll be talking with him, and kind of we'll figure that out. But I don't have the exact time frame on that. I'll find out all the exact details. I literally was just talking to him on Friday, we did a quick call to kind of go over it because he had just found out about a bunch of stuff from Irish malts and a couple other things. So, but yeah, the biggest challenge with all this, it's never about the whiskey. It's always about how to get it here. How to get it here cheaply. I guess I should say, which is kind of impossible to do. I know some of you are used to ordering stuff almost exclusively, but I know a lot of people, they go to Total Wine, so they're not used to spending. Because initially, when we were talking, because they have relationships with all of the, with Celtic and James Fox and everything, and the cost to ship a bottle from Celtic would have been the same as the bottle of whiskey itself.
Oh wow.
So
Yep.
that's what
Yep.
it costs to ship from there. It's 65, for bottle one, and bottle two, it doesn't go down really, whereas the other two, there's a discount for multiple bottlings. So, so if you buy a couple bottles, it brings the cost per bottle shipping down, that kind of thing. But, so that was part of it to try to, and, figure out what's going to be the best way, or are we better off shipping the whole thing to California and doing it through, I don't like the idea of double shipping, because putting it in a crate and getting it to California, but then you'd all have to pay again to have it shipped from
I
there.
mean, you're welcome to visit my house and pick them up. I promise I'll mind.
There you go.
Yes, trust me, I won't drink it.
I won't drink all of it. Let's be reasonable. I'll drink some of it.
But yeah, so yeah, I like Hank's math logic.
All it takes.
Just buy so much that either the math doesn't make any sense because you're too drunk and you can't figure it out.
Just if you add one very expensive bottle and you get the VAT off, it's a great way of thinking.
It's 4 or 5. Usually is a wash at that point.
And put it this way, with Irish malts, because I did a look last week, I can buy and have 2 bottles of Blue Spot shipped to my door cheaper than I can buy them now in Total Wine or Costco in California for 1 bottle. So
yeah, Irish malts and James Fox both have pretty good shipping prices. James Fox was a little bit cheaper.
Yeah, James Fox is the cheapest.
I had a steal on the MVR the other day with 214. 214. By the time I went for shipping, it was 243.
It's funny because now that I think about it, I didn't follow up with the question to Wayne. I'm assuming when that price was quoted, it was the price without VAT. But I'll make sure. So hopefully, it's dollars wise, that's about $70, but hopefully we can use our discount.
Matt, was someone stealing your whiskey and your dog went after him?
I forgot to unlock the front door. My daughter just got home.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
No, all good.
So kind of again, I put together a little quasi lineup for myself when I knew we were going to be talking about our bottle collab. I decided to break out the first one we did. So this is the Irish American 10-year.
That's still available, or
I've got a couple loose bottles left. If you twist my arm.
No, I remember ordering a bottle when I first joined. So
yeah, I've got. I think I have a case left, basically, that I've been just kind of. I make it available.
If you hear snoring in the background, it's not me; it's my big dog.
But this, again, I think a lot of you probably grabbed the bottle, but this was the one
on the label for the new one. Is it just going to have an IWSA sticker like that one did?
Well, yes, the logo I changed the logo since we did this one, but it'll have the new design logo, and yeah, so I think I have to work out some of the wording and language, but I think it'll have stuff about the Irish Whiskey Society. It's going to have potentially the logo, but at a minimum the name and little backstory on the winery that the Grenache wine's from. One of the things with Wayne Curran at Jack Ryan that I kind of like too is that he doesn't like the trend out there where whiskeys you'll see them on the shelf and it'll just say red wine finish, or it'll say, Bordeaux wine finish or something of that effect, and he doesn't tell you where. So he referenced, like, for example, the Green Spot Wine Geese lineup, where they tell you exactly what winery they're working with. So we might do something like that. But depending on their logo and how that works, it might get too busy, so I may not include it, but I may just include the name and story on the back. But I think the idea would be to specifically tie into the winery that the Grenache wine's from. So it'll be 6 years most likely. ABV will probably be 46. I'd do it at like 48 if it didn't cost more, but it probably would. But we'll see. So these are some of the finer points that we'll just have to work out. But yeah, hopefully, it's available. I'm saying June because we'll be in May, a lot of us, for the group trip, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. Yeah. So May is going to be kind of busy between traveling and the trip and all that stuff. So I probably wouldn't look to really go live with this until at least June. Has anybody moved on to whiskey number 2 while we've been talking? What do you got going, Matt?
So it was on the chat. Someone mentioned earlier about they were doing 3 red breasts. So one of mine that I had today, again, trying to bottle kill it, but I'm not going to today, is the Lustow edition red breast. This one, just everything from the deep copper to the dried fruit, burnt sugar on the nose, to everything through the finish on this one. Now, disclaimer was in my comments, I never tried the 10, 21, or 27-year-old red breast. I've had just about every other red breast. And in my opinion, for Matt Squire, Lustow is my favorite red breast expression. I love this one. It seems very good also. But this one, the Lustow, now that I'm saying it correctly, it just has more depth to it for me.
Yeah, I have my hearing aids out, so it's so I can hear. I was going to use my AirPods, but I always seem to have bad audio with this Mac. So, yeah, I thought you said lockdown, not Lustow.
I said Lustow, but I guess I mispronounced it.
Clean the crap out of my ears.
We've got people we probably should have done that. So I was going to say 2 because I know. So we've got Texas, California, Columbia, North Carolina, Boston. Mason, refresh my memory. Where are you from?
Indiana. It used to be Indianapolis proper, but we moved up to a rental house in Westfield. So it's just north of the city now.
The land of MGP.
Of what now?
MGP. A big whiskey producer.
The bourbon.
Yes. The source for all the bourbons, or a lot of the bourbons.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think all was an appropriate term.
We got quite a nice selection here in Indiana. Especially, there's even some really good local distilleries that I've been poking my nose into. So I got one up in Westfield actually called Four Finger that I'll be visiting when I find the time.
Nice.
Jim, where are you? Are you in the mountains right now, or?
No, that's Yosemite. I'm in New Jersey.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say you're getting really good reception from your camp. All right, so you're in New Jersey, okay. So we don't have anyone from Florida today. It's very, very East Coast, West Coast, kind of California and New England and New Jersey.
What are you saying? Florida's not East Coast?
No. I think there were a few signups from Florida.
Oh, okay.
And Pete from Maine. Yeah, Pete, I apologize because I can't see you. and I don't know why. That's my technological difficulties with not being able to show. It's just not showing everybody. Pete, what are you drinking, Pete?
He's muted too.
Can you guys see him?
No camera, but he's been chatting.
Yeah.
He says he's comparing some.
He's
red
having
breasts.
3 red breasts, cast strength,
Okay.
10-year, and Lesto.
Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of just for whatever reason I only can see 10 of the 11 people.
Yeah, I can't see him either.
Yeah, he's got his camera off, I think.
Are we allowed to drink Puchin on Irish Whiskey Day?
Hell yeah.
It's always one in every group that wants to, be rogue. I was, it's funny you said
Mulroy Bay.
although I was thinking of that earlier because I was like, oh, maybe for my lineup I'll pull something from Galway. Because when we talk about the trip, so I was like, oh, I could pull some Micheál Pochin. I'm like, yeah, you know what? No, I'm not gonna do that because it's Irish Whiskey Day. And I was thinking, and I need to look up when National Irish Pochin Day is because I'm sure there's one, and then we can do something for that. So I said no for myself, and I'm not. We're not gonna mute you or anything.
You've given me a good idea though, because my Micheál samples that I got from you before are still over to my left because I ordered 2 sets of those. So I may move on to that after the water purchase.
There you go. Well, this is an oat mash. Surprise that. 51% oat, 40% malt, and 9% rye. Rested from Bailick.
Okay.
What is it now, Hank?
It's a pot Puchin, and it's 51% oat, 40% malt, 9% rye, rested in Marsala casks.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I might have to get a cask of this mash bill or something similar.
Here's another shocker. You like something? Buy a cask of it. Go all in.
Buy that over there, or did you order it?
This I bought from their shop, and then had it shipped to James Fox. The Irish Malts has one of theirs at Mulroy Bay that's port and peat.
That's a very nice one.
Yeah, that's a very nice one too.
And what's the brand called?
Waylock.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Waylock. Gaoilleacha.
That's why I can't.
I'll put it in the chat.
They don't have any. They don't have any. Core brand yet in the States or anything. It's a very tiny distillery.
Yeah.
Still in Donegal though, right? Northern Donegal.
Yeah. Northern Donegal. I don't know if they started with Mulroy Bay. You've heard of the CRAIC is another one of their Pochin's that's really nice. And then they've released a series of their younger stuff intended to be whiskey, and they brand them as the father, which is somewhat peated, the son, very light or no peat, and the holy smoke.
I like that.
All their stuff is fantastic.
Yeah.
Hank, I had an in-home tasting last weekend, and outside of the normal whiskeys, I brought out some of the Micheál stuff. So the two big takeaways. I brought out the Micheál Heritage Pochin and I don't remember the name, the chestnut.
Yeah.
So let people try those, but I had a little bit left in a bottle of Inverin, so I brought that out kind of to let people try to kill a bottle.
Yeah.
And the big takeaway there had 2 people who were sworn Pete haters, not Pete from Maine, Pete as in hate Pete, and they drank it and they thought it was good.
Then you told them it had peat?
Oh, they knew because they could on the nose, they could smell it, but they liked the taste. So
from the Pochin.
No, this is the Inverin.
Inverin, no, yeah.
They liked the chestnut rested.
Okay.
Pochin too, but the Inverin, is a peated whiskey. And for them to like that was a huge, it was like groundbreaking because I usually stay away from doing peated whiskeys when when certain people are over because it's just a waste.
But it's peated and it's also
In the poaching,
partially finished in the Pachin cask,
yeah,
which is
yep.
adds a super uniqueness to it.
Oh yeah, that's why I think it makes it so good though. But
Yeah,
It's still sourced though, right?
I had that earlier. I didn't announce that one. I had a little bit of that too.
okay, yeah, the Mickle stuff is still, other than the Poachine, the whiskey is sourced.
Really good.
All right, you Redbreast fans. 18-year-old single cask, all sherry cask Redbreast.
18?
What?
Where'd you bring that back from? Is that a bar release, or was it in the store?
It was in the store.
Okay.
And that's the color. That's and when I went to get it, speaking of Valentine's Day, I wasn't feeling very well, so I didn't open this on Valentine's Day, and my wife spotted me getting this out of the cabinet on the way back into the room. So I'm gonna have to share this, but that's I think you guys would like this.
So you just opened it today?
What's that?
Just opened it today?
Yeah, just opened it today.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. If my wife gets a hold of it, it may be a bottle kill, but anyway. Alan, I have a cousin in Galway that it was a garden for years in Galway.
Okay.
But I'm not so sure that during the course of his career that he didn't bust one of the Mickle boys in the old days. And when I'll send you a picture when you're talking about how poachine is put into a cask. One of the ones that he said it was the only time that he ever really got angry, and they caught a bootlegger, and he was putting this stuff into farm, 5-liter farm chemical containers that had pesticides in it before he bottled it.
Oh,
yeah. Well,
adds a punch.
Mm.
Well, that's why the cask that we have from Mickle and what they do, the old tradition, the smaller, quarter cask, quarter barrels, they were easier to hide, easier to run with when the Garda came calling.
He was telling me one of his first times out that he was out with the lead officer, and they busted a guy, and the guy looked at him and he goes, "Would you be going to Marie's wedding on Saturday?" He said, "Well, yeah, I'm going." He said, "It's going to be a dry wedding if you bust me, so it's your choice." The guy looked at him and said, "Well, I guess you're going to the wedding with me." Turned around and got in the car and they drove away.
The funny thing is, I can believe that actually occurred.
So, anybody moved on to number 2 or 3 or?
I have moved on to number 2. I've switched over to the Bill Phil batch number 4, and it is delightful.
All right, Frank, which have you moved on to the 14?
Yeah, I just can't. I moved into the 14. Better, but
So 14 better than 12?
yes, I found it. I'm hoping when I get to the 16, it's everything.
It's got I feel like someone's doing this Zoom call from the back of a chapel.
I mean, whiskey is a spiritual thing, but
that's why antique clocks.
It's kind of like, you know what? Yeah, honey, I'll go to mass, but I'm not missing Irish Whiskey Day. Doing the call from your phone in the back of the church. All right, well, so we were talking about Mickle there for a minute. Kind of maybe switch, just talk a little bit about upcoming events and stuff. So we'll do an event in April that I'll put the details out in the next week, probably with the newsletter. So just the tease on that is it's going to be another virtual whiskey event that it's going to be, the theme is going to be Fighting Irish.
Nice.
That's not really in reference to my alma mater. It's more to the month of April, to the history of April, month of April, and some of the historic battles and some of the whiskeys related to that. But so I'll have details out on that. But that'll be an April event, and then in May we won't be doing any events because we'll be in Galway for our trip. So if any of you hadn't seen kind of what our itinerary for the trip was, this is basically it. So it's a Monday through Friday official tour. Ends with Whiskey Live on the Friday night. But this year we're going to be in Galway for the week. So we're going to be visiting, like, unofficially the title of this year's trip is Old and New, because we're going to be visiting the oldest bar, oldest distillery, but we're also going to be visiting a couple of the newest distilleries. So, for example, we're going to be visiting Mickle, which has been only open a few years. We're going to be visiting the Burren Distillers. That's only been open a few years. Same thing with Ahascra. So these are all more or less part of the wave of distilleries that are less than 5 years old. But along the way, we're going to go to Kilbeggan, which is the oldest, Sean's Bar, which is the oldest bar in Europe, I think they claim.
Where's Sean's located?
It's in Athlone. If I'm pronouncing that right, Ken?
Yep. Athlone, yep.
So it's if you go, so Ascra is, if you're in Galway and you head east like you're going to Dublin, it's probably as far out as you can go and still be in County Galway, I'm guessing. Pretty close anyway.
Yeah.
And if you then go southeast from there, about not too far, 20 minutes, half hour maybe, you hit Sean's Bar.
Yeah.
It's kind of like in the middle of the country. It's not, that's probably why you're not familiar, because if you're in Dublin or Galway or.
Yeah, I drove from Galway to Dublin, but I swung by Clonmacnoise on the way, and then straight to Dublin after that.
Yeah, it's not the kind of thing that you'd come across if you're going to what I'd call the normal visitor places, because it's right in the middle of kind of nowhere. But we're close enough. It's kind of like, all right, we're there. We can take a little excursion after the distillery tour. We can get a drink there and listen to them tell us the history of the bar, and then
I saw the Brazen Head was the oldest till I heard Sean's.
Yeah, there's always, it's kind of like the Bushmills versus Kilbeggan debate. They all kind of spin something, but
it's a good excuse to go there.
Yeah, again, I'll just follow the marketing literature until I am told otherwise, I guess, maybe. But they've done their own bottling too. I think, I can't remember if, probably it might even predate Great Northern. I can't remember exactly, but they've had it at Whiskey Live, because I've seen it. But so we'll be hitting kind of the old and new, but we're in between all the whiskey stuff. We're going to be doing going to the Burren. We'll go to the Cliffs by boat out of Doolin, go through Lisdoonvarna, and eat. We'll go to Ballyvaughan. If anybody's ever in that Burren area, definitely should. You got to be there at night, though. Definitely go to a Loughlin's pub in Ballyvaughan. But that's kind of, the way we structure these trips too is you get a day kind of free, meaning no scheduled stuff. So Wednesday's that day. So that's kind of your day to do anything that's not on the itinerary. But it should be good. We're going to kick off with a little mini walking tour. Less walking, Joe and Frank, than last year, I've hired a professional to do it this year.
Are you bringing pores? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, that's the thing. See, if without me, you don't get the little sample pours along the way. But no, we'll start at a bar and we'll end at a bar. So maybe that'll be enough.
Well, the most I had to drink last year was on the free day. So,
well, right, yeah. So, but we're gonna do we'll do a little quick tour around Galway City and then head to Mickle in Salt Hill, and so you'll be able to learn about Poachine and try some of their stuff. And then, like I said, Tuesday will be a road day, kind of like last year. That'll be the day we're out, probably the longest. And then most of this, though, is we're not gone full days. Probably the longest day actually would be Friday because we'll have to leave in the morning. Kilbeggan's actually the halfway point between Galway and Dublin. So, stretch your legs. We'll do a master Irish coffee class at 10:30. Grab some lunch. Be in Dublin, time to check into the hotel, and then we'll be hitting Whiskey Live. And Cian, you're going to be at the Friday evening session as well.
Yes, yeah. So ironically, I'll be in Galway the week before you're there. So I was going to go back over for Whiskey Live, and I have a friend of mine who runs beer tours from the States over in Europe, primarily Belgium, Germany, Czech Republic. So he has a group of people going to Belgium on a beer tour, and about a third of them are then going to be in Ireland for the first 2 weeks in May. So I'm meeting them, and it's mainly a beer tour, but some whiskey as well. We're going to do Dublin, Cork, Galway for a few days, through Sligo up to Belfast and back down. But I will be at Whiskey Live on that Friday evening as well. So I plan to go around Galway and claim I'm Allan Dwyer. So if you get barred from anywhere, that's my fault from the week before.
Great. All right. I'll just I'll go somewhere. I'll use it once. If something bad happens, then I'll just change my name for the rest of the week.
Change your name to Hank Barnes. That will be a safe name.
I don't think that'll be any better.
No, but I'm nearly annoyed that my timing is off by a week because the agenda here looks really, really good. So I think everyone's going to have a great time.
Yeah.
Allan, how many bodies do you have this time?
11. So pretty much the same as last time. Different people, but I think one less than last year.
One of these years I'll get there.
I was pretty sorely tempted to go this year, but my wife was an English major and she found some writing retreat. So she is going to be in, I've forgotten the name of the place. It's near Connemara for a week in April. And so I'm going to be visiting her that weekend in April. So I'm going to make it there in May.
Taking random guess, Spittle?
No, it's near, it's right near Connemara National Park. It's some old castle.
That Abbey or
what was that?
The Abbey that's there? Or?
Yeah, the Kylemore Abbey.
Yeah.
That's the place.
Oh,
lovely place, lovely gardens. Abbey's not bad, nice food, lovely scenery, great place.
Mm-hmm.
I had to unfortunately skip over that on the way south. I was coming from Donegal, heading south to Galway, and I had to weigh out my time and just had to skip it. Maybe next trip.
Mm.
Yeah. So the way we try to structure the trips is to allow for free time as well. So it's not can't drink 24/7. So, you know, like Monday doesn't start until noon,
Hold
and
my beer.
we'll be wrapped up by 5:36 in time for dinner. You know, and go out and see music if you're so inclined. Um, Tuesday we're jam packing a lot of stuff, but actually we don't. I don't think leave the hotel until I think 1. This is more of a afternoon late night because one thing that it doesn't say in the itinerary is O'Loughlin's is doesn't open until 8 o'clock. That's the earliest. If they're running late, they might not open until 8:15 or something. So it's a family run, husband, wife. I think the daughter might actually work there now, but it's kind of like operated out of their house almost. Um, it's just a great place. It's hard to explain. If you're in Valley Vaughan, you drive. If you blink, you drive through the town, you miss it.
Isn't that almost every Irish town?
You know, there's a hotel there, there's restaurants, but I happened to just stay there by dumb luck a dozen years ago. And when I was checking in the hotel, I think I had a hat on that said Irish Whiskey Society. So they said, "Oh, you know, there's a whiskey bar down the street. They don't open till 8." And I checked it out. I mean, it's about the size of the living, very tiny, but they have all the whiskeys. It's just everybody that kind of is going to the burn kind of knows about it and goes there. It's a really cool place. But because they don't open till 8, I structured everything around it and back filled. So we're not leaving till the afternoon. We're going to distill it. Should be a lot of fun because these are really tiny distilleries compared to, so like, though anyone who was on the trip last time, you know, we went to Spain and we went to Powers Court, which I think by comparison are going to seem very large compared to Burren. Nickel is very small. Ahascra is actually pretty big from what I can tell. I haven't been there. That's a pretty modern operation because they're doing everything eco-friendly. But these are going to be very different distilleries to visit. I'm looking forward to them. They all are. They're all doing things a little bit different. They're all independently owned right now, you know, at this time. You know, I think both couple of the ones we went to last year were either corporate or conglomerate or foreign owned. So we're going to get a much different, I think, feel from these visits. And then anybody who's been to Kilbeggan, just a great little spot. If you haven't been there, so I'm looking forward to these. But I think in all of these, in all these cases, Tuesday is the only late night that we're out. Wednesday is free. Thursday we'll be back by 6 for dinner. And Friday we're at Whiskey Live in Dublin.
And I will say the scenery in the Burren and Connemara is the best you'll see in Ireland. I just absolutely love the West Coast. So you will have a great time there. The roads may scare you, but the views are great.
Hey, Allan, I'm trying to get some of my cousins lined up for Wednesday. So don't let me, when we're on the trip, remind me. We should invite you out for a drink with the lads.
Yeah, I've already looked into the early bars in Galway.
Oh yeah, there's a family local, and oh yeah, and my one cousin actually he called it a roadhouse for years, and he's retired in Galway, and they're quite characters, these guys, brothers. So do you know, Allan, do you know Mickle, when I was there a couple of years ago, they were talking about they were going to build a distillery in Connemara. Did you hear any more about that?
Yeah, it's in process. They're still working through all the details. I mean, they have plans drawn up and the location and all that. So I think they just have to work through the red tape like everybody else has. It tends to take a lot longer than it probably should.
Yeah. Red tape is legion in Ireland.
Yeah, so it's just, I mean, Dingle's running into trouble trying to do an expansion. They've been kind of stuck for 3 or 4 years now. But yeah, so we'll see. I think the plan was 20. I want to say 26, but
Yeah, I vaguely remember that. But is that 26 open or 26 putting? Well, in this case, it'd be breaking rocks, but made in the ground or.
yeah, it's really more of a physical location because they're laying down whiskey. So
Yeah.
but this would give them, the potential to have an on-site warehouse and visitor center. Because as you know, the current location is basically a speakeasy, which
The
is kind
current
of cool.
location, which I was like, figured I was in the wrong place.
Mhm.
Until
Yeah.
the bartender, covered with tattoos and nose rings, said, "Oh, you need to walk behind the screen."
Yep. Yeah. The one of the things, again, I'm going to reach out to Pork. I meant to do it last week, and I just ran out of time. The timing is going to be close. When we're there in May, it's going to be real close to when they might have their first whiskey.
Ah.
I don't want to speak for them because I don't know what their exact plans are, but I don't know if they're going to have anything that's available to sample, like, hey, here's what we're going to be releasing in a month, kind of thing. Or that could be cool, though. We might get lucky.
I missed which distillery did you say?
From Nickel.
Okay. Because Clonakilty will have their first own release out in May.
Yeah. Well, that's an official. Nickel, I heard, might be doing something here. So maybe they'd have something to sample in May potentially, which would be cool.
It will be good because it's on my list of things to do in Galway.
Yep. So I kind of back on the whiskeys for Irish Whiskey Day. I decided I still have this the original Dunville's 10-year.
Yeah.
The PX. So still have a few pours left in this. So I decided I'd maybe give that a whirl today. I have to say, I haven't had the Irish American club bottling in a while. That was hitting the spot. I was like, wow, this is good. I haven't had this one in a while. That's not really that wouldn't be like my winter whiskey necessarily.
That's what I'm doing right now. I'm finishing up trying to bottle kill my Teeling Black Pits. This is my go-to winter whiskey right here.
So that's a winter whiskey.
Yes.
Overall, that's my favorite. Beat it.
I go back and forth between this one and the good, the bad, and the smoky from the Whistler.
I haven't had that one yet.
I depending on the mood, either one of them is my favorite peated Irish whiskey.
Yeah, I've gone through two or three bottles of the Black Pit. I've had the Waterford. I think I lean more towards the Black Pits.
Allan, when you were at Kilbegan, did you take I don't know which tour it was, but they had the 25-year-old Connemara?
I have not been there for a tour since probably 2012.
Yeah.
And so things were a lot different. When I went there, it was kind of weird. I showed up. It might have been a Saturday. I don't remember now because it's so long ago. But I had told them I was coming, and when I showed up and I said I'm here, they got all nervous because whoever was running the managing the distillery at the time wasn't there. So they called him, and I felt bad because he came over. It was like his day off. And like I felt like I got him out of bed, and he showed up. And I'm like, you didn't need to come and like give me a private tour or anything. I just, was. But anyway, but he ended up giving me like a private tour. So I never did what I would call the formal distillery tour. And
Yeah.
he took me into the back bar room, and we were sampling all kinds of stuff. And he actually took me. The thing I do remember most was he took me to the stills, and he let me try the what ended up being the oat pot still that they couldn't call.
The rye,
Yeah,
rye one,
rye.
or did they
Yeah,
just
no,
open?
the rye one, and
Okay.
and they had an and at the time it was going to be a pot still,
Yeah.
and I was drinking it out of the still, so it was like super high strength. But and then by the time they could bottle it, they couldn't call it pot because the technical file. I remember that. The other time I was there was excuse me, for one of the whiskey awards that was held there. That was probably like 2016, 17, maybe. I can't remember again, but I when I was there, that was when they released the Connemara 22 or 20. So that was cool because they did the release party there, and we all got to sample that at the distillery. I've never had that older one that you're mentioning.
Well, I don't, at the time I was there, it was 2018, because that's when I went to the clan meeting, and we went on it. I remember this thing looked, their warehouse that they had, the out warehouse, looked like something from World War II, where they used to keep, fighter planes. And he said at that time, they only had 2 barrels of the 25-year-old.
Yeah, doesn't surprise me.
Well, they may have more now it's been some time, but yeah, we should maybe sniff around a little bit when we're there.
All right.
The one time I've been there, it was the tour of the old Kilbeggan distillery, and it was literally, here's a map, go walk around and let us know if you have any questions. So
I
not
did
the
that.
working distillery, but just the old building, and you could walk around. And that was fun.
Which is really cool though.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I really like that, the wheel there and everything. It's a really nice spot. I don't know about going into the basement and trying to find really aged Connemara, because it'll be it will be like 10:30 in the morning, and we do have whiskey live that night, so we might want to be careful how much we drink on the way to the convention.
You can't drink all day if you don't start in the morning.
And having learned from you, I have tickets for Saturday also.
Oh, nice. So which session?
The afternoon, because I'm going to go to one of the master classes I wanted to go to in the afternoon. I can't remember. I think maybe it's Dingle.
Okay, great. No, so yeah, I'm going to go to the afternoon on Saturday. I believe Kian and Hank are as well.
I am bringing my father to the afternoon session Saturday.
So it'll be the tour will be officially over, but unofficially, it sounds like we'll have a bunch of members there anyway, so that'll be good. And it'll be a little probably less hectic, because I think the Friday night session can be a little crazy.
What entails a session at Whiskey Live?
What's that?
What actually is a session at Whiskey Live? I mean,
they're 3.5 hour long, so they break it up, so they have an afternoon and an evening session, and it's just a time lock. They don't want you staying there for 9 hours, so it's really no different, other than the people that go at night tend to be a little bit more rowdy, it seems, from my experience in going over the years.
I mean, what happens during a session? It's a 3.5 hour block where.
Well, the master classes are separate. The session is just an open floor with 100+ exhibitors. They all have a table with a booth with their brand and whatever they're pouring.
Are tastings included with the sessions, or is it?
There's separate master classes that are not held in the main area, so they're kind of breakout rooms. And there's usually half a dozen or so. The way they used to do them was they used to just run all during the day in the early years, and then they started linking them to the actual sessions, which is more. It's more difficult to attend them Because if you want to attend them, you have to have a ticket for that session. And if you go to them, you're basically chopping an hour out of your session.
And
So
ironically, the sessions that have sold out for this year are bourbon sessions.
yeah, they all,
Yeah, exactly.
BTAC and Van Winkle have both sold out.
Why would I go to Ireland to do a bourbon session? I don't know.
well, the funny thing is though, is if you're American, that's who tends to do them a lot because
God.
you can't get that stuff here. So the only time I've ever had Happy Van Winkle is in Ireland.
Oh,
Oh,
really?
wow.
Because
That's
it's
weird.
very readily available there, and
I want to do the Bourbon Trail one of these years. I may be able to do that before I do an Ireland whiskey tour.
Yeah, I'd rather drink bourbon here, but yeah.
I mean that's what I primed myself last night with some stuff from New York, some bourbon and some rye that my daughter had got me.
But my take on I'll give you my unsolicited opinion on the master classes. Take it for what it's worth because I've been to every single Whiskey Live, so I've been to dozens of master classes. I if I go to one this year, it would be the very first one on the Saturday, um, because generally what I don't like about them is it takes away from the overall session, and now it's gotten so big that it's difficult to go around and to see because I went a few years where I went to 3 sessions when it was only 3 sessions. But then they stopped letting you do that because some people were obviously getting too drunk. So
That's called the Allen rule.
yeah, well, because what I found was like as it kept getting bigger and bigger, you can't. There's just too many, So if you want to go around and see people that's going to take up all your time. Then you don't even get to meet anybody new. So you almost have to be strategic about it. Because I remember last year I went to 2 sessions, and we were getting kicked out. The time was up, and I was like, oh, I didn't get there. I didn't get there. It's just it's really difficult because there were like 110, 115 booths last year. So
What's the chances you can go in under a fake name? Like how
no,
hard do they check?
no, you could do that probably. I might have to, put a hat and a mustache on though, not wear my Irish Whiskey Society garb.
Last time I wore my jacket for the Irish Whiskey Society was when I was in New York last spring. It was when I was on crutches. So they said, "Oh, I know how you broke your leg."
Well, I want to say we were wearing Frank, you gave us all lanyards, right? We were wearing our tickets around our neck and
yeah, they would fit the IDs, the Irish whiskey IDs.
yeah, and I had given everybody in the group an Irish Whiskey Society America tote bag because again, one of the things to know, I was kind of my plan was thwarted, so you need a bag. Bottom line, while you're there, because
okay.
Because you're getting stuff you want to catch.
Right.
You're getting like stuff. They give you, you got water bottles, you've got your glass. They give you like their marketing material, buy our cask, all that stuff. So it's nice to have a bag to carry all the stuff around in, or even just to put your, like your pullover, if you don't want to check it. But this past year, so Teeling, one of the very first years, gave out bags, and I've been bringing them back every year because they were really good. They worked. But it gave me the idea this last year. I said, okay, I'm going to have our own bags made, and I'll give them to everybody that comes on the trip. And we show up at Whiskey Live, and wouldn't you know it, they decided this first time ever to actually give out bags with the glass. So you got your 2-hour glass and a bag. So we all had 2 bags, but that was kind of new us last year. We were all running around with our Irish Whiskey Society bags. But I don't know if they're going to have a bag. I should actually ask. Maybe I'll email Katie and ask her if they're going to be doing that this year, because I'd hate to show up, and not have a bag.
The best bag marketing I've ever seen was in San Francisco's Bono's spoken word tour, where they gave every single guest a free copy of his hardback book and then offered to sell you a bag to carry said book in. And it was brilliant because my wife and I went, so we had 2 hardback books. She's like, yeah, I'll buy a bag.
Mason, thanks for joining.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
Hey, Mason.
Take care.
Yeah. And what was that whiskey you pulled out there? I'm very curious.
So this was one I picked up in Carmel a couple of years ago. So it's a Connemara independent bottling.
Okay.
One, it was 14-year-old cask strength. When I opened it, the cork disintegrated, so it's in a decanter at the moment. So therefore, I have to drink it quickly. But
Lovely.
it's very nice.
I'll say that seems to be a common
Back to our cork discussion.
with Connemara brand.
I don't think that's Connemara. I would put that more on either the shop, because if I remember correctly, it was stored on its side.
Yeah.
The worst luck I've ever had is Napo Castle. I've had 3 12-year-old corks break on me, but yeah, that one
I've never had a
now it's
break on me.
coffee filter, jug, decanter, and back. So I'm used to it at this point.
I just drink it. I tell myself it's vitamins.
I actually,
cork maintenance, baby. It's all about cork maintenance.
I had to rebottle a Connemara a couple weeks ago because of the cork.
Alan, was it the Turfmore?
No, this was the original. The Turfmore was fine. Because I think I brought that when we drank that, right?
Yeah.
No, it was the original. That
I have had 3 bottles of Balcones. I know, not Irish, but they have just disintegrated. I don't know what it is. Yeah.
I've never had any of their corks go bad on me.
I've had 3 of them. One of them was the Brimstone, the other one was Lineage, and then another one was maybe the second bottle of Brimstone.
Okay.
I mean, it could have just been a batch. Who knows? But either way, it's
well.
I got a bunch of rubber stoppers now at my house.
Oh yeah, I keep stoppers just in case. But Balcones is great. I've been there. It's lovely.
I know this happened to 2 or 3 people that picked up the Irish American, our bottle collab, that the corks went right away.
Oh,
I was lucky mine didn't break. I was like everybody's talking about breaking the corks, and mine was
like literally on the first opening. I think the cork was separating from the top. Happened with like 2 or 3 people. So
I've got bottle number 2. I haven't opened yet.
Turning it, wetting it first, or something, or
yeah, I don't know. So it wasn't the cork was disintegrating; it was the glue to the top wood piece.
I know that happened as we were speaking at Whalelock. That happened to some of their more recent ones, where the heat of the waxing compromised the glue between the cork and the stopper.
Oh.
When you take it off, the top would come off and the cork would still be in there. So like, keep spare corks at hand.
I keep a whole bag of them just in case.
Sensible.
For Joe Barron, you sent out a picture that your eldest daughter found triple Jameson at duty free. What is that?
Oh, triple is it's a Jameson that actually is then finished in another cask. So it's actually the duty free only Jameson.
Mm-hmm.
Did you like it?
I haven't gotten it yet. She's still in New York.
Oh,
yeah, my 2 daughters went to London and Scotland, and she had shown me a bottle of scotch. Said what I wanted. I said, nah, but I said, if you see the triple at duty free, pick it up. So, but it's supposedly very popular. I mean, it's very highly rated. It's just it's a Jameson that's finished in I want to say Malaga cask.
Yep,
but I might be wrong.
Yeah, it's only in duty free, so it does very well because as people are leaving, they can really push that narrative.
I think it goes from like a sherry to a bourbon to a Malaga cask.
Yeah.
So it's
not bad.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Frank, have you moved to the 16 yet?
I did, and it quite a difference. Quite a difference. I was fortunate. Yeah.
Yeah, we caught up on that tasting last weekend because somebody, I won't name names, but it was probably me, forgot to bring the samples and the chocolates when we were going away for that weekend. It's like, okay, can't join. We're in Carmel, and I did not bring those with me.
Yeah.
Well, I just poured I guess, fourth one. This is the closest to a bottle kill for the day, maybe in the making. This is
Patty Centennial.
the centenary. This is the Patty 7-year-old pot still. This is
That
one
is lovely.
of my favorites.
I didn't know they made a pot still. I've had their blend.
It was
Well,
a one-off.
this came out in 2013 for the 100-year anniversary.
Alan, that was one of my favorites when we tasted that.
Probably could be May, end of May, or June. Probably gonna lean towards June is for an event where we would help launch US exclusive limited edition from Connaught. So they, their single malt is their non-expression, non-age statement single malts available in the States. It's good. They won the whiskey of the year award at the Irish Whiskey Awards for their distillery exclusive. They're going to do a U.S. release that's basically that, but a little bit older. And I think it's cut a little bit less. So I think the one at the distillery was cast strength. This one's going to be cut probably to 48, I think he said. But I'm working with Tom, the owner, who's also a member, so we can have access to purchasing that. So that would be an online purchase through their they have a Washington D.C. online retailer. He's bringing it over. My understanding is they won the award for best whiskey, and it was a distillery exclusive. And a lot of people over here were kind of like, "What's up? We can't get that because we haven't been over there." It's an American-owned distillery.
Oh.
And so I think part of the idea is to be able to get the bottles over here so they can have access to it. It sounds really, I'm going to assume everybody did the blind tasting that picked that as the whiskey of the year in Ireland. It's good stuff. It'll be slightly different, but it's basically the same casks, and same liquid, just I think a little older, cut a little less, but should be an opportunity for us to get a bottle, assuming you live in the right state. They don't ship to Massachusetts. It's one of the few states they don't ship to, which I thought was funny. But then the big thing is whether you get a bottle or not, we'll line up an event probably in June where they'll walk us through it, so we can, try it with them and kind of like we've done with other events. But so that's something that will probably be in June. So we got stuff lined up for April. May's the trip. June, that'll probably be a June event. Maybe then we'll try to do July, August, depending on the timing of when our bottle comes out. We'll do an event for that. And then from there, I haven't got that far, but stuff will come about. I've been talking to somebody else about doing something, but it kind of got pushed off a little bit. But we'll see. So stuff will happen too in May at Whiskey Live. It always does. So to line up stuff for the second half of the year.
Just a few balls in the air, really.
Yeah.
Just a couple.
So I was going to say, Hank, they're like, all right, you're no help to us. It's like the whole idea of building this bed is you're not supposed to be laying on it.
No, Jesus. I was like, how fast can I get out of there? But
this should be your respite and say, I'd love to help you build a bed, but I have these commitments.
Well, we did that and we took a break, and it's like just like I didn't get yelled at by either my son or my wife, so it's a bonus. When I was leaving, he said whiskey shelves. We're actually we're redoing elements of our basement bar, so we're redoing the counters and the floor, and we're actually going to be putting in some whiskey shelves in a more prominent location. So that could have been what I was doing.
How'd your Mardi Gras party go?
It went well. It was good. We 3 o'clock in the morning. That's not so good anymore when you're 60, but only one couple stayed the night, but they live pretty far away, and it's actually people I used to play volleyball with years ago. So, and we got everything cleaned up the next morning. My wife flew back to Pittsburgh with my daughter because my daughter came into town for it, and it's always good. She gets very worried about who shows up and who doesn't show up, and I'm like, I don't care who shows up. It's who wants to have a good time. But I had made freezer door cocktails. So I made a Sazerac, well, a Grand Sazerac with Powers Rye. I made a smoky old fashioned with dark silky, and then I did a Manhattan using short cross rye and malt. That wasn't as good. The dark silky smoky old fashioned was awesome, and Grand Sazerac was great too.
All right.
Silky, has the Silky Distillery started doing their own yet, or?
Um, they haven't released anything of their own except they released a small batch of about 150 bottles that just certain people got. It's now almost 3 years, almost 3 years old. And they're coming up on it.
I didn't realize how close I was to when I was up in Donegal that I could have visited there if they had.
Yeah. I just got another sample. I have a cask from them too. I just got another sample, which is a 1-year-old pot still, and it's 50% peated malt, 30% unmalted, and 20% oats. It's already great. It's already great. So
take care, y'all.
Yeah, the whiskey live.
Jimmy.
Take it easy, Jimmy. The whiskey live this year is going to be interesting because there's going to be probably half a dozen of them that'll have their own stuff. I think this year.
Yeah.
Clonakilty. James will probably have something at least under the table, if not, so it'll be good to. I'd have to think about it, but like there'll be a bunch there'll be people running around all over the place trying to try new stuff.
They're struggling a little bit to fill it up. They have a lot of empty booth spaces.
Really?
Yeah. So Dahi still hasn't committed. He after he made his big splash at Whiskey Live, I'm just shocked he doesn't go. Wayward isn't going this year. I was chatting with Morris about something. He's got other things going on.
Yeah, I wonder if it's because they're all running around now trying to actually bring their products so they don't have time.
Yeah, I think it's that. And they have a lot of the local ones, right? Because everyone right now is in
Southwest, yeah.
Yeah, Southwest, and then Cork's coming up later this month, and just
so that's interesting. I was kind of hoping didn't join. We did have a couple of, I thought, an Ohio member who was going to be joining today. I wanted to talk to them because there's all kinds of Irish whiskey stuff going on in Ohio right now.
Yep.
Yeah, they're going nuts.
Tasting of the new Middleton Silent Distillery.
Yeah, but it's just
Louise has a bunch of releases just for them. Wayward's doing releases for Ohio.
Yep.
Yeah, but Wayward's got their core stuff on the shelves because that was what I missed that, and I'm curious how long did that just happen?
Yeah.
Or has that been there for a few months? Because I wasn't aware that he had brought the Liberator into the States.
Yeah, me either. I'm sending my daughter shopping if she goes back to visit her friends at Ohio State where she did residency. So,
but because Ohio's also got the Oscar products, like the can you help me out? What's the core blend? The
UTA.
The UAS blend.
UAS, yeah.
UAS.
Yes. I don't know how to pronounce it.
I don't either.
Usha something.
Yes, something close to that. I have to look at it to say, but I know
it's actually pretty. I like it. It's a source blend. It's good, but I've been talking to them for over a year. When are you going to come to the States? When are you going to come to the States? And the person who I had a relationship with left. She moved away because she moved to the States, I think, because her boyfriend got a job or something. So I haven't had as great communication in terms of stuff. And then all of a sudden it popped up in New York and Ohio because the Clan Cola 11-year-old and the 7-year-old are there too in Ohio and New York. So not exactly sure what month some of these hit, but we're seeing more stuff. Just not as much fanfare. I saw the Molly Malone brand is in California.
I saw that recently, and Uish would be the Ahostra one. I saw the Molly Malone, but it worries me when I see something named after a popular tourist attraction because that just implies they're looking for a popular name versus
Right.
Oh yeah,
any connection to a fishmonger / prostitute that died of a disease that was related to selling whiskey.
So I have to admit, I did buy Drunken Sailor, which is some type of blend that's pretty good. But it actually works because I now have like this decanter in my bar where you can put the bottle upside down, and the logo works both ways. So it's a good use of that. So
That's very important.
but yeah, it's funny the things are popping up left and right on the shelves, and it's hard to keep track. For Cullen's making a big push.
Their stuff is good though. For Cullen Falls, like so,
Big fan of for Cullen Falls.
I'm helping to put together an Irish whiskey tasting for a local pub near me for end of March, and they're the ones that just released a Clonakilty bottling, which is very nice. And as I look compared to what I had last year, like for me, the blend, I'm going, well, for Cullen Falls is really nice whiskey, so we should be adding that to the list as well of stuff they can get. It is good.
is it a beer finish they did with Clonakilty? With your
Port
pub?
cask finish. They're
Okay.
not
Yeah,
saying
okay.
post. Yeah.
Yeah, the for Cullen stuff though. So the single malt is now in the States.
Yeah.
The core range one. They also have the 21-year-old single malt in the States that's in mass shelves. They also have the 15-year-old grain. And
it's only the folds we can get here, and
okay,
because they're a bar, they're
last,
restricted by what they can order in state. So that's their single malt. My
yeah,
recommendation.
so these other ones just kind of came within the last few months. But then I saw that New Hampshire is doing, which is a state controlled, they're doing 2 special releases for New Hampshire only. Now I saw that on the label, the TT&B, but they haven't gotten into the stores yet, and it's hard to know when that's going to happen. But I'm expecting those to pop up in New Hampshire anytime. So yeah, so they've kind of made a push all of a sudden to get their stuff in here, which is great.
Which is funny because when we did the tour there, and they were like, "Nope, no interest in marketing into the States. We're aiming for Asia."
Well, they were, but
that did not work out.
Depending on when you were there, they had a massive changeover in
yes
who was making decisions. So that might have
before that changeover.
Yeah, so that
was no longer a family member from Asia involved.
Yeah, but they're actually. Oh, Jimmy just left. They were at an event that was going on locally here that I did not attend. I'm doing this, but it was kind of a, just a general, what I'll call whiskey show. But one of the exhibitors there was for Cullen, and they had the Balls single malt, 15-year-old and 21-year-old. So I was, and they're doing a special event at the store on the 14th. So I was debating whether or not I wanted to go to that or not.
What I will say for anyone in Ireland, go to the Paris Court Distillery, because while the distillery is there, you get the gardens, you get the house, you get a lovely lunch. It's a great day trip from Dublin. The distillery is an added bonus. Go there first and then enjoy your lunch, your walk around Paris Court Gardens. But yeah, it's a fabulous place.
It was great.
Take a train there, or how do you get there?
I would drive from Dublin. There are bus tours that will go there, but it's maybe 20 miles south of Dublin city centre.
I've taken a cab back and forth many times.
You're like the Hoth. How far is the walk? It's like you can take a cab from Powers Court to Hoth. Not Hoth. Lower. What's
Hoth is probably still
Hoth is north. But if you're doing the walk below Dublin toward there's the cliff walk below Dublin, and a couple of those stations are pretty close to Powers Court, where we took a cab from
you're
Powers
at
Court to there.
Killiney, Blackrock, Hoth,
Yeah.
Dunleary, and so on. But
Yeah,
you're
there's definitely
probably
there's training.
Dunleary, we did it.
Because I've done the train.
But
one time I got dropped off from there to the train station instead of going all the way back.
Yeah. It would be pretty stupid to go to Hoth from there.
Well, Hoth in itself is nice. It's just it may not be on the way to Powers Court, but yes, Powers Court is a fun place to visit.
Matt, I really liked the poster behind you until I now see the Notre Dame there too.
Man, I've had that thing for about 15 years now, Hank. My ex-neighbor, he was an artist. He was pretty damn good at it. So that's actually a canvas painting that he did for me.
Beautiful.
I bought it. All I did was buy the supplies for him, and he painted it for me.
Oh, that's awesome! It's beautiful.
Thank you.
By the way, if speaking of the for Cullen, if you get your hands on the single malt, the non-age statement one, that's probably the closest thing to what's in our cask right now.
Right.
Because it's similar age. The difference being that, I don't remember what the single malt's cut at. I'm going to guess 43, but I can't say for sure. But if you want to have an idea what our cask kind of tastes like, that's basically the same thing. It's a bourbon single malt.
Well, I'm not sipping on a for Cullens right now, but for my fourth one for this I went with the Hinch Double Wood. It's hard for me to find. I've been milking this one. I'm not going to lie. I've been milking this one for about 15 months now. I don't want to finish it. But
that doesn't help you with shelf space at all. Then if you're milking.
No, I know that's why I'm trying to get rid of it. But man, this one is good.
I just have staging stations now. I've got my shelves, then I've got a desk, then I've got a table, and a bar, and things just kind of go from one to the other and move stuff around.
Wait, you've nothing on the floor?
I do, but it's kind of like, I'm going to do a tasting coming up, so I'll take those bottles off the shelf and I'll put them on my bar, and then that frees up space to put stuff that was accumulating somewhere else back on the shelf, and it's just like a constant moving around, and then in the process, I hope I kill a bottle. But the Hinch though just rebranded. I saw that this week.
Yeah, I did.
So that might be why you may start to see it more, because they may have been holding off restocking.
It's a fair point.
Because they were going to do this rebrand. So
I hope so, because this is one of my favorites. I love this one.
I was glad to see that for a different reason. And in that nothing much has been happening with them. Like I haven't seen any buzz around it. So I was kind of like, I haven't talked to them in a couple of years since Whiskey Live and what's going on there. And then all of a sudden I saw this rebrand. So I was like, oh, good. They're, putting money into it. There's something happening. So that's a good sign. Because I get nervous around now when some of these places, it's make or break time in some cases. You don't know where they're at. Are they going to get bought? That kind of thing.
All right.
You think they got their own liquid now?
They're right around. They're close. Yeah, they should be close. I'd have to look up exactly what year they formed, but it's 2024. So a lot of these came on between 2015 and 2020.
Yeah, I'm really pulling for Hinch and Boan Distillery for their own liquids.
Boan definitely.
Boan's got a lot going on. They're really buzz around them is big because they're doing all the crazy pot still.
Yeah,
I'm a big fan of the Whistler lineup.
Early on, they'd offered it's now discontinued, but you could buy effectively 10 years, one bottle a year of their releases.
Oh,
which they did away with, unfortunately. And they refunded but gave me bonus bottles. But it was basically going to be like 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, all the way up to 10-year bottles. But their vintage mash bill series with Fionn was fabulous. Yeah. They have done
I have
stuff, and you make great.
I have 2 cask shares from Dahi where he has 2 of those casks.
Yeah, I probably have those as well.
Well,
If
Ken,
they were partially released, they happen.
is doing a kind of a bottle program like you were just saying is Burn.
Are
That's
they?
interesting because I like the idea of trying the different stages
So
of.
yeah, so Burn, I was reading about it just this week. It was I think in all it ends up being 16 bottles.
Okay.
And it's I think it'll eventually be the 15-year-old version is the last one. But it's like you get the current one and then it's like every other year or something.
Okay. I must look at that. As long as it's not the same price as Celtic Whiskey Shop's Ulysses series.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was. I don't know about that one because I forget now. But
18 bottles, $1,000 a bottle.
Oh, it's not that bad. No, the Burn one was like 3,500.
Ooh,
which I still thought was pretty steep.
I thought when Boan started theirs was €600 for the 10 bottles. So
Yeah, I thought this was very
steep.
steep, and I was because I was like almost like, I almost would rather buy
that's
a cask.
half a cask. So
yeah,
I'll pass.
I'd rather get a cask.
Yeah.
So because we're gonna be there, so I'm sure they'll talk to us about that. But it's kind of like, I almost rather do the cask for a little bit more and get more bottles.
Yeah, I cannot recommend Boan stuff enough. They're
Me too. Big fan of Boan.
And I say if anything because a lot of I find the day to have, especially in the States, to become amateur hour. So it's just become.
I'm hosting a whiskey tasting on the 15th.
Okay.
And I've billed it as the ABCs of Irish whiskey because there will be Achill, there'll be Boan and Blackwater, and then Clonakilty. So those are literally the alphabetical ABCs.
So this is not an intro tasting; it's an experienced group.
It's an experience. Yeah, it's the same group I've been hosting tastings for a couple of years. Primarily, they came from home brewing and beer judging and beer bars and stuff. So it's going to be, and it'll be coupled with one of the guys there. At least one will be from Monk Cellar who did the Clonakilty port cask. So I had two other Clonakilties. I've added his one to that list as well. The Saturday, not sure yet. The Sunday, I'll probably just go out and go to Monk Cellar and or Loomis Basin Brewery, depending on what's on, and then see what else they open that day. But it's a mixture of bottles, but Achill, Boan, Blackwater, and Clonakilty will be the starting ones.
My wife and I will be doing we're kind of doing like a beer walk on the 16th Saturday, downtown McKinney here in McKinney, Texas. They have a heavy Irish influence. So for $35, they give you a glass and you just walk around to 20 or 21 beer spots, man. And you get to sample different Irish whiskey, or not whiskeys, I'm sorry, Irish beers, Irish ales. They'll have American ones in there too, unfortunately, but it's just a chance for us to get out and go sample things we haven't tried before. So that's
don't never apologize over American craft beers because the American craft beers are better than the Irish craft beers. And there's a lot of good stuff in Texas.
Yeah, there is.
So I'll be going to the home of the Carolina Panthers.
Nice.
My friends have a pub in Waxhaw, so we'll be going there, and it's it'll be a 2-day thing, particularly with St. Patrick's Day being Sunday. So we'll go down there, and they have an okay selection, not great, but I probably won't bring anything because it'll just be all day, every day. Although there's a nice liquor store. There's two nice liquor stores in South Carolina that if something exciting pops up, we'll be all good. But that's unlikely.
Well, I think, Alan, I mentioned to you, I'm going to be walking in the downtown Irish Parade in New Orleans. So
right.
Oh, nice.
I have, the first year I did it, I took 21-year-old Redbreast and drank most of it. And it's a long day. So I've learned not to spend that kind of money anymore.
Joe, where do you start and where do you end for that?
Holy crap.
So, well, they have changed it a little bit.
Okay.
It's not what it used to be. It used to start over in the Marigny, but they're starting it on We'll probably start on Esplanade and go down to Decatur, go up Canal, and it's a question mark whether or not to go down Bourbon again. They're fussing around every year what they want to do. So, but we usually get together for early lunch and then have a meeting point. The group I walk with is actually in Algiers. So we go over Algiers, go to the point at Algiers, drink heavily, and then go to the, hang around and wait for the bus and, the whatever. So it's a long day, but it's a good time.
I went to school in New Orleans. We were just there. There's a distillery there called 7-3. They have a whiskey called the Irish Channel, and they tell me it's Middleton blended with their own. And they also have a rice-based moonshine, also known as Pachin. But they're not in a great location, but it's worth, if you have time, go grab that. Irish Channel is pretty nice.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to be there for a while because
given what you've told me, what's available in Colombia, it's worth getting.
That's why I have to manage my whiskey acquisitions much more carefully than you guys do, because it's always a risk. The good news is the Colombian rum is very good, and they have these wonderful rubber stoppers, and so I collect them. Maybe Allan, I'll bring you a handful.
Okay.
They have 2 different sizes.
I mean, you don't have proper 12 in Colombia, so that gives you a head start on the rest of us.
Yes.
Kian was my friend until he told me that he thought I liked proper 12 apple.
Is it bad that I've never tried proper 12 yet?
No, it's not at all.
Is it bad?
I've tried it once, but I
haven't tried it. Don't plan.
I bought a bottle for someone that wanted it. It wasn't good.
Is proper 12 the one from Conor McGregor?
Yeah,
he since sold it for millions and millions of dollars. Yeah, like
I got
made by Bushmills. It's just not very good.
Whatever the Guinness or whatever the stout he.
Yeah, he created. It's a 3-year-old Bushmills. Nothing really. But he put his name on.
For whatever reason, I refuse. But
it became the number 2 selling.
He made millions of dollars, but it's still shit.
I was somewhere. Where was I? Somebody asked me about Irish whiskey when they found out what I did, and that was the first question they asked. He goes, "What's your favorite Irish whiskey?" So I said, my stock answer tends to be Powers John's Lane.
It better be.
And
technically, most online cast strength is your new best answer, but okay.
Yeah, I don't go there, and I just sound kind of pretentious or something. So it's just I don't even say the 12 years, just Powers John's Lane. And normally, with the people asking are clueless anyway, so I could make up a name, and it wouldn't matter. But his response was, "Oh, not proper 12."
Oh my God.
So yeah.
Yeah.
The whiskey presentation I'm giving next month, the bar is sort of restricted by what they can order in. And I said, well, last time when I was there, a few of your members brought bottles and put them at a table at the back. Someone brought along a dingle single cask. So they're like, Andy, if I bring along a bottle of Powers John Lane cast strength, will you object? He's like, no, I'll just make sure I take it home with me. I'm like, excellent. Then I still bring that as well.
As I say, if he objects, then he needs to be removed from the.
Oh no, he won't object. He's on my taste. I just want to make sure I could legally bring a bottle in to leave it at his bar.
Right. He just can't. He just can't serve it to anybody else but himself.
It's not legal,
but if it's open at the end, any member could have brought it there and left it out. So they're not serving it. It's not part of the official tasting. But I think they'll need to taste it because it is a damn good whiskey.
Well, not to mention that your willingness to bend the rules depends on the quality of the whiskey. So
yes,
John's Lane cast strength. So it's okay. We'll look the other way.
I accidentally bought this bottle of proper 12. Can I leave it in your bar at the end of the night?
Hank is banned from California. Exclamation mark.
Matt, I'm coming to Texas soon.
Oh, when are you coming and where are you going?
I'm going to be at Grapevine.
Okay, that's
the
not
Gaylord.
far from...
a presentation. I have a presentation there. I'm going to do a Wednesday and Thursday, right after St. Patrick's Day, so that the following week.
Okay.
So it's a short trip.
I live in McKinney, Texas. It's about 40 minutes away.
Okay.
They're letting you out of the house, huh?
Let me, yeah. I got like two presentations, 20 meetings. I'm going to talk to a bunch of kids at UT Dallas, but everyone's like, "What whiskey are you bringing, Hank?" Because
Well,
I normally bring this.
Texas has some things that you can't get other places.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I go online and I look at all the different liquor stores in different states, and Texas gets stuff that we don't get in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Or California. I've brought back Boan Whistler cast strength from Texas and different 17 and 18-year-old unpeated Cool Islas from Texas because I can't get them here. It's been a while, pre-COVID, but yeah.
I think I'm going to have a car for a day because I have a car so I can do this thing at UT Dallas, but then it's just conference. So it's like constant meetings and everything. So I probably, and Gaylord's right next to the airport, right?
Yep, it is 100%.
So I'm taking a car to then, and then I have the car for the week, but I'll probably just turn it in because I don't want to be responsible for a car. But like, I got to find liquor stores near the airport and decide if I do any exploration.
Actually, Specs, I would say, not Benny's.
Is Benny's in Texas too?
No, I was mistaken.
That I don't know of.
Where I've gone. Specs.
No,
that's
God.
Chicago.
Specs or Total Wine.
Right. If there was a Benny's there, I'd just be there.
No, Specs.
Benny's is the best.
You'd be like, "Oh, I'm going to talk to the kids a while longer."
Yeah. Let's go on a field trip.
Yeah. Yeah, Benny's is dangerous.
Hey, I just put my phone number in the chat, man. Save it. Call me when you're here.
I will.
Text me something.
I will if I have time. It's like,
if you have time. I'm not. Yeah. It's fine.
What I think you'd be if you were close to Chicago, you'd either love Teeling or hate Teeling because they're doing so many Teeling single cask type releases that don't get anywhere. So like you could if you like Teeling, you could live off of their single cask
at Benny's. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I got Acacia from there. I got a Kilbeggan 16-year single grain from Benny's.
Well, you know what they did? The Teeling crystal malt that's been released. Benny's had a crystal malt Teeling first, like a year and a half ago.
Really?
Well, they say they only have that at the airport, but James Fox has it, and I just ordered it because I got to see what it tastes like, as you guys know, because it's going to be in this.
It just got released in Ireland. And I've got a message to the people I know here to see if when it's coming to the States. But it was in Teeling as a limited single cask release that they're always doing.
Wow.
If you go on their site, but
it was like 2
years ago. If you go on now, you can't get it anymore.
The worst thing in my life was my daughter just being in Chicago for 1 year. I mean, and then she left, but it's okay for her. But like, I got Benny's and then it was gone.
Interesting.
Well, what I feel like if any of us were really enterprising and had time, we should try to work out a deal with Benny's to start an online, retail service for them because they could be shipping all over the
Oh
States.
my God. Yeah. No doubt.
Because that's the thing that's a killer. You see stuff and you're like, all right, who do I know? Because you're trying to figure out a way to get the stuff.
The one time I've been in Chicago, I was stopped by the police. This was the mid-90s. I was visiting my brother.
Did you stop by the police on your own, or was that?
No, I was on my own.
I was literally going to ask that.
I was visiting my brother. He was on a J1 visa, and I was walking in an area where apparently people of my color were not normally walking. There was a record store out there. They wanted to stop me and see where I was going. It was probably 96, and I've never seen anywhere with as many cockroaches as the apartment my brother was staying in. I'd come over from the Middle East, so I was like, I'm arriving in heat wave. I'm like, this isn't bad. I'm used to like far warmer temperatures.
No.
That's my sole visit to Chicago.
Yeah, my daughter did a 1-year fellowship there, and it was right at the very end of COVID, so everyone had moved out of the city. So she got this unbelievable place right by Northwestern where she was doing her fellowship, but she was like a 5-minute walk to the lake and a 5-minute walk to the river. It was in everything. And Benny's was 10 minutes away.
Well, I was drinking proper whiskey at that point, so yeah, or beer.
Well, fellas, I'm gonna end this one. I gotta go cook dinner for my family. So
Yeah, we should
Good
probably
evening.
call it. It's now, what time is it? 6 now? Wow, 2.5 hours. That's pretty good. I don't know if that's a record, but
And for a toast.
I think it's
Yeah,
good.
we need a toast if we're gonna end it.
Yeah, so
let's get a toast.
I don't have enough for a proper,
I gotta recharge my glass.
but I was gonna say, for Irish Whiskey Day, the 1 day a year exclusive to Irish whiskey, this is how you should spend it, right?
Yes,
I
sir.
just imagine there are other days of the year I can also drink Irish whiskey. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you
Cilantro,
for having
fellas.
us.
Cilantro.
Gotcha.
All right. Well, good seeing you guys all.
This was
And
good.
Speak to you next time and have a
Yep.
good evening.
All right, take it easy.
Go on.